The primary concern is that we spend a lot of time in a very flexed position, whether we're sitting at a desk, sitting in a car, sitting at a table, and in our case, sitting on a bike. We have so many postural distortions that we maintain while we're working out that it's hard for us to break away from the inflexibility that comes because of them. The overriding objective with all 5 of these stretches is to basically restore the body's natural posture. And this restoration of natural posture basically starts with an aligned spine. We can't do much unless the spine is properly organized. And then we kind of weave in the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle, and that gets some of the muscles that become overly tightened when we adopt that cycling posture. This should be an everyday endeavor. So we're only talking like setting aside maybe 10 or 15 minutes each day, but optimally this is done every day. Whether you do it before your workout or after a workout is up to you. You can even do some of these stretches on the bike, but make time for this every day. We'll address 3 aspects of the spine: the cervical spine or the neck, the thoracic spine, which is basically the middle of the back, and the lumbar spine, which is the low back. Then we'll hit the shoulder girdle and then the pelvic girdle. What we're trying to address here is the muscles that are constantly in that overextended position by pulling the head into a flex position. And then with the second stretch, we're trying to address thoracic mobility. So most of the spine, save for the neck and the lumbar spine, is what we're after here. And again, in the case of cyclists and anyone who sits for long periods of time, we're in a really flexed position. So by draping our spines in an extended position over any number of surfaces, we're trying to unlock all that tension. And optionally with this one, you can reach your arms overhead and brace them on either a kettlebell or a barbell or really anything that forces you to reach overhead and holds you in place. And that further opens up the spine, extends also the anterior chain, and releases some of those muscles that are also tight from us being in that hunched over position. With the third stretch, we're down at the base of the spine, the lumbar spine. And again, we're trying to open up the spinal segments, the vertebrae that are in that constantly flexed position by simply extending that low back. This is an exercise that you can do pretty much anywhere. You can do it in a seated position, you can do it on your bike. Ideally, you'll do it in a standing position, but basically you're just moving in and out of that overextended position and trying to free up some of that tension in the lumbar segments. And when it comes to the shoulders, gripping handlebars and being at a computer, holding onto a steering wheel, all pull us into an internally rotated position, and all this musculature gets tight, and all this musculature back here gets overstimulated. So we're trying to counter that internal rotation by stretching out those muscles and allowing them to open back up. That includes both the shoulder and the chest. With this stretch, when you interlace your hands behind your back, you can put them in any number of positions, whether you put them high towards the upper spine, low towards the lower spine, hands tight toward one another with a gap in between each other. At some point, you'll settle on a hand position that rings true, that shows you this is the spot that needs most of my attention. And in some cases, you can facilitate this stretch, and you actually need to by bringing in a buddy and having that person actually press down on your shoulders and drive them into the floor, because you lose most of the benefit of this stretch, perhaps all of it, as soon as those shoulder blades come unglued. And this fifth stretch is probably my personal favorite because it addresses both the hip flexors and the quadriceps, 2 areas that are chronically tight in cyclists. This final stretch can be done in a couple of ways. You can do it up against a wall, or you can do it on a couch, hence the name couch stretch. The idea though is to get in a stretched position and remain there for a pretty long duration. I'm talking 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes at a time before moving to the other leg. And it's always important to bear in mind that this is a progressive process just like anything else. So if you can't stretch something as well as you'd like, give it time. The more you do these, the easier it is to recognize the benefits.